I was spiritual. I was intuitive. I didn't realize I was intuitive. I was a very quiet child, so I used to observe people. So I used to think that it was just my thoughts. I didn't realize information was coming to me.
All right, welcome to a great edition or another edition or the best edition of Living Boldly with Purpose. And I'm Dr. B, I'm your host. And if you've ever had that time where you meet somebody, you talk to somebody, and you just know that they're going to be somebody that is part of your life, or somebody who just has some things to say that are going to enhance your life. And one of the favorite things that I have in this show, that goes on in this show, is that happens to me so often because for whatever reason, I'm using that thing called PodMatch, and somehow they're able to match us up with some of the best people. But I think the people who want to tell a story, the people who want to make a difference in other people's lives are the people that you end up talking to. And the first thing when I was talking to Michelle today is I just said, what are you most excited about? And thinking, okay, what are we going to talk about? And she just said she's excited about people and hanging with people and doing things with people, which in my mind, and you probably heard me say this several times, is when you're living with purpose, you need to serve others. I don't know, Michelle, maybe you can answer this too, as you're talking to yourself. Is it possible to live in purpose and not serve others? And I don't think it is. I don't think that you can be where God has you in this world to do what he put you on the earth to do, or whatever your beliefs are there, why you're on this planet, and it doesn't involve serving others in some way. Whether it's a smile that just says, hey, I care about you because you're alive or you're on the planet, that's a way of serving others. Or you're down and dirty and you're doing nonprofit work in another country and building wells or something. I mean, they're all just so neat to be able to say, I can't walk through my day without figuring out a little bit of a way that I can serve somebody else. And when you do that, you get to live in purpose. You get to do the things and be, I guess, fulfilling life. And, I don't want to necessarily just, pursue the happiness, because I don't think it's all about just doing everything I can do to be happy. But I think fulfillment and joy and wanting to wake up in the morning, when I think about it, and I don't know because I'm not a billionaire, but I wake up when I think about, the billionaires that are in the world, I don't think they wake up and go, I just got to make some more money. If I could just make a little bit more money, then I can be fulfilled. There has to be something in there where you try to give back or do something for others. And, and I don't mind people, pursuing and having money and wealth. And I'm not saying they should give away all their money either. But at the same time, there's got to be a way that you sit down and you take that and you serve others. And, when we think about, you, and I can't wait to hear your story and, living where you live and having kids and, all those wonderful things that you do. I think, having children is another way that you get to serve others, right? You don't have a choice. For many years that is, you wake up thinking about them. I happen to have 8 children, but my youngest is 28. And so, I sent a message out yesterday because I do it's called the A tribe. So Arnold is my last name. And so we're the A tribe. And so with the 8 kids, we now have 16 grandkids. And so on Sundays, I send out an A tribe message to all the kids. And so this week I just said, you guys get a prize if you all, FaceTime me back. Because so out of the 16 grandkids, yes, I think, out of my 8 kids, I should say, the 16 grandkids is even more, but out of the 8 kids, 4 of them live in California, 4 of them live in Colorado. So I got 2 in Southern California, 2 in Northern California, and they have the bulk of the kids. There's like 3 grandkids here, and the rest of them are there. So I have to FaceTime them. I have to talk to them, online every week. But it's, so 2 of them called me last night, and they finally figured out that I think Zoe is 9 and Clark is 7, I think. And so they were reading me their stories that they wrote about, on the iPad, trying to have the iPad. But you just think, that's what life is fulfilled about, right? That's what, you think about all the work that I did, or my wife and I did, having and raising them and making them, these cool kids. Now it's kind of like the enjoyment of being grandparent. So anyways,
I totally agree with you. I mean, it's funny because I always tell a lot of my clients that you could be living your purpose, just knowing the essence of who you are, because I believe that's what purpose is connecting to the core of who you are. You could be at Starbucks doing your purpose. You could be in an Uber doing your purpose.
Yes.
You don't have to specifically be at work in your purpose.
Of course, yeah.
So I love what you said there. Yeah.
And usually, when I think it's purposes, usually you would do it for free, all day long, all day, right?
Feel like work. It's like it's who you are. So I'm
cool.
I'm with you there.
So Michelle, what I would love for you to do, and I do this with all my guests, because I really believe that our stories tell so much more about us than if I say, "Give me your bio." And then, people they always just tell you what they do, right? Well,
Right.
Like, no, I want to know who you are. And I think the people can relate more to who you are than what you do. And so you can start your story wherever you want in your chain of events and the things that you've done. And then we'll just chop it up after that. So the floor is yours. I can't wait to hear all about Michelle.
Oh, thank you. I love your energy. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, okay, my story. Let's get started. So right now I'm an intuitive guide and coach, right? But I was not always that person, and I never thought I would be. But I realize now that it is my purpose, and it is what I came here to do. Now let's flash back about 14 years ago. I used to have a fashion business, and then after that, I worked for a nonprofit, and it was nice, but I used to go to work feeling like, is this it? Is this it for me? Because I knew I felt limited. I felt like I was in a box. I felt disconnected from life. I had anxiety. I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore. I was like, oh my God, my life is just so regular and so boring. And so I felt lost in my career. I felt disconnected from myself. I had anxiety, fear. I felt stuck between what I thought I should do versus what I wanted to do. Okay. And I wasn't even connected to my desires anymore of what I wanted. I wasn't even sure. So I was at this, I would say it was pretty much a rock bottom for me. And it was then, after turning to friends for support and not really getting any answers, I begged the universe for help, because I was like, I feel totally stuck here. I don't know how to move forward. So I begged and begged that night. I remember crying, and I'm not one who usually cries, but I cried. I begged, and I was like, please, universe, I need help here. Help me find a direction. Help me find a way out of all of these issues, because I can't take it anymore. This is not fun for me. It is so depressing to wake up every day. And that night, I saw my spiritual teacher, who had passed away a couple of years earlier, appear at the foot of my bed. Mm-hmm. And he basically was at the foot of my bed, answering all my questions, telling me, if you do A, then B will be figured out. And if you do C, then D will be figured out. We were having this telepathic conversation. So it wasn't, it wasn't out loud. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. Part of me thought I was making it up, but I'm looking around the room and I see my husband sleeping next to me. I'm seeing the room around me, and yes, I'm seeing him, and he's him. I mean, my spiritual mentor, and he's like nodding his head, like, yes, you're seeing me. You're not crazy. Anyways, it was such a magical experience. I literally felt like I'd been touched by the light. or touched by the universe. I don't even know how else to put it. That I wanted more. And so I said, okay, can't just be that. Like this can't be it. I need more of this connection. This was amazing. I had all my answers right there and then in like 10 minutes. Everything felt like resolved. And so I begged for it to happen again. It did happen one more time. And then after that, there was like radio silence. So I was like, wait, what? You guys just left me here? And so shortly after that, after I'd begged for more of this and just show me how I could be more connected, I started to hear voices in my left ear. I didn't realize that I was receiving messages. I actually thought at the time that something was wrong with me and that maybe I was schizophrenic because it was an overload of thoughts I thought were thoughts, but they weren't my thoughts. So I confided in one person. I said, listen, something's happening to me. I'm gone a little crazy. I'm hearing things about people. I mean, I'm overthinking. I'm thinking so many thoughts. And my friend said, no, I think your third eye must be open. I was like, what are you talking about? So she said, you know what? You should go see this tarot card reader that I go to. And I didn't really believe in tarot card readers. I did believe in intuitives, just not, I made fun of tarot card readers. I was like, but I was so open because I was like, something's wrong with me. I just need to get this fixed. I need to turn off these voices. So I was open. I went to the tarot card reader. And the first card I pick is a card. It's called the Seer card. And she says, did you know that your third eye is open? That you came here to channel for people in this lifetime. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I was open, but at the same time, I was like, that's not really me. I'm not that girl. I'm a very grounded, earthy girl. This is not really my world. And she said, well, you know, you're going to meet your teacher in a couple of months. She's from a foreign land. And yeah, this is what you've been chosen to do. I'm like, okay. Took it with a grain of salt. A couple of months pass, and my husband was on the phone with a healer from Argentina for his brother who was not doing well, was ill. He wanted to get somebody to do remote healing for him. And he was in the car on speakerphone with her. I get into the car and he's like, you know, I'm on the phone with this woman. So I put her on, I put them on mute and I tell him, I said, this is the woman that's going to teach me. And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're going to see, she's going to teach me how to do this stuff. She's going to help me like do my purpose in this world. And he's like, what do you mean? Anyways, take her off of mute. The next thing she says, who just got into the car with big brown eyes? My husband's looking at me like, what? And I'm like, you see, I told you. And he said, you know, my wife just got in and she was like, did you know that your third eye is totally open? I'm like, well, I'm beginning to hear this quite a bit. And she said, I'm coming to LA next week and I would love to meet you. So she never told my husband that. So I'm like, okay, sure. I go to meet her for coffee. She starts bawling. I got a bit uncomfortable. I was like, why is this woman crying? And she says that her guides had guided her and told her to come to LA to meet somebody. And that as soon as I walked in, she knew that person was me. And as I'm sitting there, she said, I've been instructed that I need to teach you everything I know because you came here to do this work. So, and she kept saying, you know, your guides, they talk to you all the time. I said, who's they? They don't talk to me. What are you talking about? And she said, the voices. And I was like, yes, I want to turn those voices off. I said, but those aren't voices of my guides. It's my thoughts. She said, no. They've been talking to you this whole time. You just don't know how to manage it. So yeah, so she basically taught me how to manage it and threw me into practice. It was very much Mr. Miyagi style, wax on, wax off. you know, she would just give me people's names and she would say, "Tell me about this." And I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, "Oh my God, you want me to tell you out loud? I don't know these people." And she'd be like, "Enough with your ego. Just whatever comes, just tell me. Just say it out loud." I'm like, "Okay." And I felt like I was making it all up. And she would confirm every time. She'd be like, "Yes, that is exactly that person." And I didn't really quite trust that I was getting it all right. I felt like she was being nice to me, um, until a friend came to stay for the weekend. Both her parents had passed away. And I told her, I said, "Listen, I'm learning with this healer from Argentina. Do you want to like just have fun with me and practice?" And she said, "Sure." And I sat with her. I was so relaxed because she was my friend. You know, I tapped into her and her parents and her life. And she got so much clarity in that time. And I was like, I couldn't believe what I was getting. That 2 weeks later, she actually met her now husband because I feel like we cleared out a lot of blocked energy and emotions and everything else. And she was so blown away. And so was I. I couldn't believe what was coming through. That she went back home and told her friends. And that is how my journey began. I started getting phone call after phone call saying, "Are you the soul whisperer?" And I'm like, "Soul whisperer? Wow, that's a cool name." And I would be like, "Yeah, sure." And it just came to me. I didn't ask for this. It came to me. I resisted it many times. I was like, "Oh no, this isn't me. This isn't me." But once I accepted and I surrendered and I said, "I know that I came here to do this, and okay, use me. That's fine. I'll step into it. I won't hide anymore." And that's when it all started happening. Basically, my whole business was all word of mouth for the last 12 years.
Wow.
So
And how people get your numbers of how did they, how were they
it all
getting
started
yours?
from my friend who went and told 10 people, who told people, who told people, who told people, and that was it.
So help me. I mean, because I haven't lived in this world, and I don't, I'm not even sure how it works. Or as you were growing up, because you mentioned that you intuitive, you believed in, but then you weren't into like the tarot card readers and stuff. So
Yeah, I was spiritual. I was intuitive. I didn't realize I was intuitive.
what does that mean? What does it mean to be intuitive?
I was a very quiet child, so I used to observe people. So I used to think that it was just my thoughts. I didn't realize information was coming to me. When I was 8 years old, my mom started working with this lady, and she invited the lady home for dinner.
Mhm.
And I was sitting there with my arms crossed, looking at this woman. And I was an extremely shy kid. And I was just sitting there observing her, and I was like, but I wasn't my usual smiley, friendly self. I didn't get a good vibe. And I remember telling my mom's like, "Oh, isn't she so nice?" And I was like, "No, I don't like her at all." My mom's like, "Oh no, what are you talking about?" I said, "No, I don't trust her." I was 8. Anyways, this woman swindled my mom from a lot of money.
Even after you said you didn't trust her, your mom didn't
Yeah, because
believe
my mom at the
anything.
time, she was like, "My 8-year-old daughter has an opinion." I
Yeah.
don't think she took it seriously. So I didn't realize I was hearing from my guides telling me to warn my mom. I had no idea. Also, it's shortly after September 11th, and I wasn't doing this work then. But again, another moment that I realized how intuitive I was. I'm getting onto the plane September 14th from London. We actually rerouted and we went from London to Montreal instead of New York. And we're getting on the plane, and I see this guy who looks really shady, and I'm not getting good vibes from him. So as I'm getting onto the plane, I tell the flight attendant, I said, "Listen, there's some guy, a couple of people behind me. I wouldn't let him on the plane. He looks really shady to me." And obviously, like, I toyed between, am I paranoid? September 11th just happened. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe I'm being mean. Maybe I'm judging him for the way he's dressed. Anyways, they let him on the plane. he has his hand in his jacket, like it looked like he had something in there. He's staring at me. I'm staring at him. He happens to sit on the same row as me, and he's like staring, and we're both onto each other. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's something really not okay with this guy. I felt this icky feeling in my stomach. So I got up and I told the flight attendant again. I said, the guy you let on the plane, I don't think he should be on this plane. I think something's off with him. And she was like, please just go sit down. I'm like, oh my God, nobody's listening. And then next thing I knew, the 5 or 10 armed police came onto the plane. They took him off. They stripped the plane apart. It turned out he had a fake Italian passport. He was on that flight with no luggage. He bought a one-way ticket and paid cash for it. There were all these then they thanked me. So that is what intuition is what it's like, intuitive hits. It's like, this didn't come from my brain. You know, my brain would have said, no, poor guy is just dressed inappropriately for the time of year, or he's just sweating because he's nervous about September 11th. But there were so many indicators to me, and I listened to it, and that's the thing. That's what I wish for people, to listen to their own inner voice.
Gotcha. And is it something, I mean, is it like a muscle where, you know, are more people just more in touch with it? And then is that a muscle you can develop so you can be more in tune?
Yes. We all have it. We all have it. If I could have it, and this is what I do, anyone could have it, because I was not this person. So yeah, we all have it. It is a muscle that we need to build. But in line with the muscle that we need to build, we also need to create some Zen quiet time. Because you will only be able to hear that inner voice when it's quiet around you. You cannot hear your inner voice if you're at a nightclub, for example, pumping music. No, there's no way. So one of the ways to really connect to that voice, your inner compass, higher self, universe, whatever you want to call it, is by quieting the mind. So finding an activity that you can do. It doesn't have to be meditation. I personally don't love to meditate. It could be anything, like listening to white noise, taking a long shower, going for a drive, a walk, doing the laundry, washing the dishes, cleaning the house, any activity that you are not required to think, that you can just drift off. That is what is required in order for you to receive your guidance.
Gotcha. So when you say you don't like to meditate, and my thought of meditation, and I could totally be wrong, is when you're quiet and you're just listening to yourself.
I know, but there are certain meditations with like music that it makes me think about my to-do list. It has the opposite effect.
Okay,
for me personally, and that's why I feel like everyone has their way of quieting their mind.
Gotcha.
I mean, when I take a shower, I am like receiving so much information and downloads. A client of mine actually called the shower her shower office, because that's where all her best ideas came in the shower. Yes.
So we're meditating. We're just not doing the guided, like somebody says you have to put the candles out and lay down and. That could be more of the, I guess, the guided, or just where there's somebody talking in the background, helping you get there. I guess.
Listen, if it resonates for some people, great. The key is to find the thing that works for you.
Gotcha.
So there's not just one way.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I love that there's not this one way to do it. When you talk about guides, what are guides, and then how do they interact with us while we're having our minds quieted?
Okay, so the spirit guides could be loved ones, ascended masters, angels. For me, I know my dad just passed away. I know he's one of my spirit guides. My spiritual teacher, he's one of my spirit guides. Sometimes we know our spirit guides, sometimes not. They could come with us from many lifetimes. So when you quiet your mind, you can ask your guides. You can ask for guidance. You don't need to know their names. Just know that they're with you, and know that it's like having two bodyguards with you, protecting you all the time, and that are so wise that they're telling you what to do with the perfect outcome, how to do it. They're giving you the how, they're telling you the what, and you're just following their lead. So what I do when I've quieted the mind, I then ask a question. So, for example, before this podcast, I could say, Spirit guides, please help me have the right words so that I speak from my higher self, not from my ego, not from that self that's like embarrassed to be in front of the screen. Or do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can ask for whatever it is you want. You want help. And we all should ask our guides for help. Because the way that I always explain this to my clients is that imagine your guides are waiters in a restaurant, right? And you go to the restaurant and your waiters come up to you and they say, hey, what would you like for dinner? And you say, oh, no, don't worry. I know where the kitchen is. I'll just make it myself. And your guides are like, what? But we work here. We're paid to serve you. And you're saying, no, it's okay. I don't really need your help. And so many of us do that. That was me. I did that. I tried to figure everything out on my own. I was like, I don't need anyone's help. I'm a lone soldier here. I can do it. And if we would open ourselves up to asking for guidance, it's like you are creating ease in your life. Your life is flowing. You have synchronicities that are happening all the time. You have job opportunities falling at your feet. You have a relationship that you were looking for your whole life and just shows up right in front of your face. So that's what it's like to live in flow, to live in together with your guides.
Gotcha. And I kind of likened it to, we talk about spiritual, and my grandma grew up on a reservation, so a lot of my world is in the Native American culture, and then I also have, on the spiritual side, on a religious side, and think of like prayer. That's what God says. We should ask for guidance, and that's it seems like it's kind of it's the same thing. Now, you said that you're like, when you were going through in your story, that they were telling you that your third eye was open. Is your third eye, or what is a third? I mean, I hear that a lot, and I just haven't been schooled till today because I got Michelle on with me to help me understand.
So the third eye is it's right here. Indian people usually wear the red dot right here. That's actually where the third eye is.
Are they trying to cover it up?
No, trying to give it energy.
To bring in like an antenna.
Yeah, it is kind of like an antenna.
Okay, gotcha.
So third eye is okay. So there are different ways that we receive guidance, right? So we can see in our mind's eye. We can hear. When I had the voices, it was hearing. We feel, we touch, we smell, we sometimes just know, information just drops in. We might have like very vivid dreams, repetitive numbers, birds might show up every day outside your window. There are many different ways. So the third eye is the gift of seeing, it's vision. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when that's open, it's kind of like the chakras, right? It is one of the chakras. So when that chakra is open, it's like there's full ability to see what is not immediately in front of your eyes in this reality.
Gotcha. So
and what it feels like for the layman is like dreaming, daydreaming. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Well, like I'm trying to when I think of like our reality, that is our physical reality. I don't think, to me, that's not the true reality. The true reality is the spiritual reality, because that's so much more powerful than our reality and what we're tricked by. When I think of like magicians and that kind of stuff, that we can be so easily deceived and tricked in our physical reality. but I don't know if we can as much in our spiritual reality. And that's just, I mean, that's just my, how I'm interpreting and believing things. And so, yeah, now you have these people are calling you and they're asking you like, help, like, I'm lost, or I'm trying to figure things out. What kind of things are you able to
see?
help
Okay, so
people
when I'm
that
in this, oh, it's all choppy.
that are just, is it they're desperate?
The connection is a little choppy for some reason. I'm not sure
Okay.
why. Okay, now I hear you. Now I hear
Yeah, nobody wants us to talk about this stuff, right?
you. I know. Maybe it's universe hijacking our podcast.
Yeah. So I was just asking, what types of things do people come to you, and are they at that desperation time, or they're just trying to figure things out? What
So
are
not everyone is entirely desperate, okay? But a lot of us walk around this earth with kind of a veil over our head, and we don't see what's possible for us. We don't see, somebody might be in a financial mess and they're getting deeper and deeper into a hole about their finances. So I can tap in and I can say, okay, this is your these are your karmic patterns around money. The reason it's happening is because of whatever it is, okay? And this is what you can do to unlock it. And then I can also see that there is a lot of money waiting for them and they have no idea. Because there are a lot of times that I connect to somebody who feels like they're in a hole and I'm like, oh my God, if only they could see what I see. There's a lot of money there. And so I empower them to tap into creating that reality for themselves, because it is there. It's in their energy field. Okay, so that's one thing. A lot of people come either, with a relationship that they're either in a really yucky relationship or they just left a bad relationship. They don't know what to do and they feel really broken. Again, it's about seeing the patterns that are happening over and over and over that might be coming from past lives even, and giving them the tools to overcome those blockages. So it could be relationship, career, finances, health, you name it.
And so how do you know what to, because you have this intuition, like how to help them?
Well, they tell me. So I connect to their guides.
Okay.
I love
connect to their guides. Okay.
I connect to their guides and they tell me in my left ear. Okay, so they tell me, I don't know. They either they tell me or they'll show me images, and it's almost like I can see the big picture. So a lot of us, when we're in our mess, anything, we're like whatever's going on with us, we are so focused on the details, like looking at the right now instead of seeing what's beyond. And my gift is I'm able to see what's beyond. So it's like I'm standing on the top of the mountain and I can see I have the best view. But they're like climbing up the hill and they're like, oh my God, I don't know if I'll ever make it to the top. And I'm like, I see you on the top. No, for sure you're going to get to the top. So I see the reality that is available to them. So I help them see it as well, so they can move forward and be empowered and actually live in combination with their purpose, with what they came here to do. That's the thing that moves me the most, is helping people truly tap into who they are. When they're tapped into who they are, they're tapped into their purpose, like 1,000,000%. So that is what, if you're going to define me in a nutshell, like one word, one line, it's helping people see who they are without their garbage, without their baggage that they come with.
You're like a purpose finder.
Yes, because it's not about, so many of us feel like we need to be validated by our work and our accomplishments, oh, well, I'm 50 years old and I haven't done this by this age. And I'm 40 and I thought that I would be in this place in my life. And I always say, like, we shouldn't validate ourselves by what we do, but we should acknowledge ourselves for who we are, because that's everything. When you know who you are going to magnetize your purpose and the right job and the right people and the right everything to you. You're going to be a magnet to draw that in.
Cool. Now, this may be a silly question, but I'm truly, you said a couple times that you hear in your left ear. So does that mean if you get something you're right or wrong, you just
that
know
means it's my ego.
Real quick, because I saw it do. Does that mean so? Like your ego is your left, or your right ear is your ego, and your left ear is?
Yes. Well, that's how I know. So we all have egos that come in the way, right? So when we're tapping into our intuition, sometimes when we second guess and we doubt, that's our ego. That's our ego saying, "What are you talking about? That's stupid." So yeah, I'm very aware that if I'm hearing it in the other ear, I'm like, okay, that's just Michelle. Like, actually, I named my ego. I gave her an ugly name. So my ego's name is Gertrude. And so I know when Gertrude is talking, and I know when I'm like, not me, my higher self is communicating through me.
Gotcha. For all those that are watching this, they're named Gertrude. It's not your fault.
I apologize. It is not that ugly. It's not ugly at all. Not ugly. It's just different.
Yeah. Talk to me about being a mom and how because you have this insight for the last, you said you've been doing this for 12 years. Your kids are younger than 12, so they have been part of this the whole time. And then we have this crazy school indoctrination system that tries to, just make us all robots or whatever it does. How do you interact with them and the rest of the world who's trying to teach them?
Oh, I love that. So I always tell them, like, I want them to be empowered by knowing how to make decisions, not from their brain, from the beyond. So I always ask them, I'm like, so if they ask me, what do you think I should do? Should I do this, this, and this? I won't answer them immediately. I'll say, what do your angels say? What are your angels telling you? Like, quiet your mind. You tell me what are they telling you? And oftentimes they'll have like the perfect answer. I don't want to spoon feed them and tell them. I want them to create that connection. My son, he's 8 and he loves Pokemon cards. Okay. He just loves Pokemon cards. So we'll go to the card shop and he doesn't just pick the first card from the pack, the first pack. I mean, he'll run his hands over it and see which one feels like it has more energy because his hands get hot and tingly. So he'll put the cards down and then they all look at him, but he doesn't care. He's like, no, I'm gonna get the best Pokemon cards here. So he'll lay like 4 packs down. He'll put his hands over each one and he's like, this is the one that's got the VMAX or the best card in there. And he always pulls the best cards.
Really?
Yes. And so he doesn't care what they think. He's like, I'm sorry, but this is what I do to find my cards. Mm-hmm. And so he's totally connecting with something beyond because he always finds the good cards. He never has a pack with like the bad cards in them.
Oh, that is really cool. And my question is, like, when I think about world religions and all the ones that are out there that I'm sure you've had to interact with. You're not, if you were 17, maybe not, but you're at least 29. So, what's your thought process on, because I think religion can get, to me, it's a relationship, but religion can get in such a way. And there's so many things that have been bad that have happened in our world based on the belief in religion, that they take it to this next level. What is your interaction when, I don't know, people come to you that say, okay, I believe in this certain thing, and then but I'm mad at them, or I hate them, or it's just there's so much. I just think there's been so much bad done in the name of religion in the
Right.
history of our world. That how do you reconcile with
So
what you do with that?
I feel that the more you're connected to yourself and your truth, the more balance you have in your connection with your religion, right?
Mhm.
So the more you connect to your spirituality, the more you can connect to your religion in a really balanced, beautiful way. Then the religion becomes the vehicle to experience your spirituality. But when you're not connected to who you are, you kind of use the religion as a rule book and you're not really feeling it and you're going through the motions, then you're out of balance, you're out of whack.
Mhm.
You're using the structure to kind of lead you without feeling it, and you've got to feel it. You've got to understand it on a high level, not like, oh well, according to my religion, we can't work on Sundays or whatever it is.
Mhm.
We're not
Yeah,
allowed
good
to eat
example.
chicken or whatever it is, right? So, and then you go according to those rules, and you're not really sure why. You don't. It's like you just go through the motions, and you're not really connected to the why or the bigger picture, like the spiritual reason. Then it's like you're on the wrong path. You're not doing it for the right reasons. There's something missing. The juice is missing.
Mhm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess to me, it's hard to believe in, a spiritual world and a physical world if you don't believe that there's a creator. What is your thought process on that? I mean, that's me, but I would love to hear your thought process on a creator versus no creator versus it just happening.
Okay. So to me, well, obviously, I believe in a creator, but I believe we all have the creator within us.
Okay.
Now, we could say the word creator, we could say the word universe,
God.
we
Yeah.
could say there are so many different ways to phrase it. Okay, it's like the light, right?
Mhm.
I believe that there is a higher force that is within all of us, and that we need to activate that force within us in order to live life and navigate this life with ease and smoothly and easily. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mhm.
when we connect to that part, that inner knowing, that's us being like the creator.
Oh, and it's so hard when I talk to people, and I'm glad I'm talking to you and not other people that believe that things just, like the rocks bang into each other. And
Yeah, they're
there's
like,
because I think of like the law of energy, and you talk a lot about energy, right? And energy it changes. It's just it's always there, but it changes form. I mean, and that to me, that's what sometimes it's in a tree, and sometimes it's in a rock, sometimes it's in a cat, a dog. There's energy everywhere, and it continues to move. And then I think of like the law. I think it's called the law of entropy, that says if you just leave stuff alone, it deteriorates. So I go, okay, and that's true. I mean, you got, you leave your car out and the sun gets on it and it oxidizes and it get, anything, you don't clean your house, right? It get dusty and,
right.
and so if that law is in place, and how could these things come to get better when if you leave them alone and don't do anything, they get worse. And so those things just don't work out for me where I go, yeah, it doesn't work where things just out of the blue, all of a sudden a rock turns into a human. And then, even if it's billions of years, I can't see the billions of years of leaving it alone. And then all of a sudden it turns into whatever it is that it is. So I appreciate you sharing too. Because I don't know, I'm always seeking for understanding and guidance. And, and there's so many people who have, at least figured it out for them, what really works. When clients come to you and they're, I think let's say that they're not healthy, those issues, that whatever that health challenge is, and they're saying, well, Western medicine or is not working or Eastern medicine is not working, how can you help them utilize their own energy or their own, and I'm not saying don't ever take an aspirin either because you got a headache. How do you help somebody channel, like, I'm not even saying that's probably a bad word too, but how do you help them find out how to heal themselves, or do you do that? Or
well, the key, okay, when you're connected to the universe or the creator or your higher self, you are receiving signals through your body. So when you have a health issue, it's like, I'm not here to give you the answers, because who am I to say? I'm not God. I'm not. So I often can see a reality where you're very healthy and you are totally healed from your thing. The key is to get in touch with your body, to kind of have an intuitive connection to your body, so that you can, with your mind and your mindset, you can heal yourself. Okay, so to obviously, like, intuitively know what you're eating, whether that what you're eating is making you feel not so great or great. Like, really get connected to all the things that you're doing and how it's making you feel in your body. And I feel like with a strong mindset and a knowing, an absolute certainty that you can get better, you make that reality happen for yourself. It's almost like having blind trust that it could happen, because I know people have cured themselves of stage 4 cancer entirely just from just saying that was going to be the case.
And the belief in everything has to come with that process, that it can truly, and I do believe that we have the ability to heal ourselves if we just do. If there's like 3 things that you could tell somebody to do daily that could help them, I see people so stressed and people so all over the place. And so, like, for me, like, I can't turn on the news because one, I can't solve the world's problems. And that is part of my life, because that's how they make me feel better about who I am, by telling me how bad everybody else is. And so, but I see all this stress and this tenseness and this just incredible. So what are like 2 or 3 things that somebody can do every day? Maybe that we can do, and then maybe 3 things we shouldn't do every day.
Well, let's focus on what we should do. How's that?
Yeah, I like the should.
Yeah, or the things we get to do. Okay, so I'm all for not watching the news. I don't watch the news because it doesn't help. So first thing I would say,
one that we should not do.
That's right. So just like I said before, find your activity that you can do twice a day if possible, but if not twice a day, at least in the morning, do that activity that I mentioned before, of just quieting the mind, because you're training your body to know that you're the most open to receive guidance at those times. So be consistent. So whether it's you want to do a meditation or listen to white noise or take a long shower, go for a drive, run on the treadmill, whatever it is, do that. The other thing I would recommend is a really strong morning routine, meaning, you're not looking at your cell phone first thing in the morning. You're not answering your texts and your emails, at least for the first hour. First thing you do, you go hydrate, drink water with lemon, morning walk, gratitude, what you're grateful for really does help. And like a strong morning routine without distractions. Maybe listen to a podcast that inspires you, so you start the day with this positive mindset. Okay, I am going to bring one thing that you shouldn't do. If you're miserable at work, do not complain about it. And if you need to complain about it, like, keep it under 10 seconds, because the more you complain about it, the more you're kind of bringing that energy into your life. So when I was at my nonprofit and I felt like I was stuck and I wasn't really going anywhere, and I would come home and complain, I made a conscious decision one day and I said, no more complaining. I'm not going to complain anymore. It is what it is. Move forward. And I started energizing how I wanted to see my life. So the third tip of what to do is to get excited about your life and start energizing all your desires, what you want, where you want to go, how you want to live your life, how you want to feel. And you will be a magnet to draw that all in.
I love those because it's so important to we kind of determine that, right? We determine how our day goes based on our attitude when we're there. And I mean, I think you hit it. It's like, get rid of some of the distractions. I say get rid of the news, and you said don't look at your phone, because those are all distractions that stop you from being there. And then and do get excited about stuff and what you're excited about, and drinking water and hydrating to keep yourself healthy. And I just love that thought process of whatever that morning routine is, that you do it consistently.
Yes.
You do it where you're not reacting, but you're being proactive about yourself. So I love that. Well, I've been very selfish because I've asked you a whole bunch of questions. Some you probably wanted to answer, some you just got the answer they asked you. But I want to give you the opportunity to tell us whatever I didn't talk about. Those things like how to get a hold of you, how to interact with you in ways, and whatever it is that you would love to tell our listeners today. I would love to hear that.
You are so sweet. Okay, so I am on Instagram. My handle's at Michelle Galoub. Also, my website, which is michellegaloub.com. And I do have an online community with some free resources on school. The group name is Intuitive Mastery. So I have some nice resources on there, and events are hosted there. And I'm very active on there, just interacting with everybody on there. So yeah.
Cool. Tell me about school. What is it? I mean, I know there's resources on there, and
it's an online platform where I teach people how to tap into their intuition.
Okay.
In fact, yesterday I had a 3-hour intensive live workshop, and I have some free mini courses on there. So so it's an online platform where I have all my classes.
Your classes that you teach.
Classes.
So you go to school.
I have group readings also monthly. I host group readings where we do a reading for the collective, and people have the opportunity to ask me a question, which I answer. And it oftentimes, those people that find themselves in this group, one person will ask a question, but like 5 other people in the group are like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was going through. So it's like these souls find each other and end up in the same group together. And it's pretty powerful.
Wow. Haven't you got together a relationship at some point?
That might be the next level. I could go into matchmaking.
Yeah, the matchmaking. Go to Michelle's school and find the love.
I actually did set up 3 people who got married. So pretty gifted in that department.
I know. Well, I feel like I've been able to go to school like 3 or 4 times because I got to ask you a lot of questions. You answered all of them. Oh, so that is so cool. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on today and for taking the time to explain. I think a lot of us, me included, wonder, when we see people like yourself who are grounded and are at peace and are living their best life. And we wonder, what is it that they're doing to be able to be there? Because a lot of us want that, right? A lot of us want to, get up every morning. For me, I get up every morning. I can't wait when I go to bed what the next day is going to bring and what it's going to hold and who I get to serve and all those things. And there's so many people who don't, that they go to bed stressed and they live for the weekend. And then they use, all kind of different substances and all kind of stuff to numb themselves from their lives. And you've just shown us a way that wait, if there's some things that you're willing to do, you don't have to live a life like that. You can live a life with purpose. You can live a life that is exciting and fun, and things that most of us can't wait to do. And so I appreciate it. If you just listen to this for the first time and you say, well, I missed some of it, well, go back and hit the back button and rewind it. It's okay to watch it a couple times if you want. If you know somebody who could benefit from what we talked about today, send it to them. Don't worry about what they're going to think of you for sending them, a podcast that might be good for them to listen to. The worst thing they can do is just not watch it. But you've done your part and you've explained it to them. Hit subscribe, notifications, all those wonderful things that we do so that we can continue to bring good content. And again, Michelle, do you have any closing thoughts, last words that you would like to leave with our listeners?
Closing thoughts. You have all the support that you need. You just need to ask.
Wow. So many of us don't ask. I love that. We don't ask, and we think this stuff's just going to jump on us. But if we don't ask, we don't know that you need. And so I appreciate that. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. I believe your God's greatest gift. He loves you if you allow him to. And it was just in this fun and excitement. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you soon.